One of the hardest truths to accept in life is that most people are not really your friend until you've proven yourself. And that's not because people are cruel, it's because of how human psychology works. There's something called success bias, and it's real. Our brains are wired to seek out what looks strong, safe, and reliable. That's why people naturally gravitate toward those who seem to be winning. It makes them feel secure to be around someone who is going somewhere, who has something to show for their efforts. And if you're just starting out, if you're still grinding in the dark, chances are you'll notice that not many people are clapping for you. Not many people are checking in. Not many people believe in the dream that you're fighting for. Now, this is where most people get discouraged. They mistake this silence for rejection. They think nobody cares about me, nobody believes in me, so maybe I'm not cut out for this. And that's exactly where 90% of people stop. But here's what the 10% who win understand. This isn't rejection, it's just reality. Human beings respond to proof. And until you have proof, most people are not going to invest their energy, their time, or their support in you. It doesn't make them bad people, it just means they're operating off what they can see, not what you can imagine. Think about it. If somebody came to you and told you they're going to be the next Olympic champion, but they haven't even started training yet, would you really believe them? Probably not, because there's no evidence. But if you saw them wake up every single morning, put in the work, eat clean, train relentlessly, and then start winning competitions, suddenly your belief would shift. You'd say, oh, wow, they might actually do it. That's how most people treat you. They need evidence. They need to see you winning before they attach themselves to your vision. And this is where you have to be careful. If you let that discourage you, if you let that silence convince you that you're not good enough, you'll quit long before you ever give them the proof they need. You've got to understand the psychology here. People aren't against you. They're just not invested in what they can't see. That's why you can't wait for applause, you can't wait for validation, and you definitely can't wait for friends to get on board before you start. You've got to build the kind of resilience that says, even if nobody believes in me, I'm going to show up. Even if nobody claps, I'm going to keep working. Even if I feel alone, I'll keep pushing until they can't ignore me. This is why success feels so lonely at the beginning. Because it is. You're in what I call the invisible phase. Nobody sees your effort. Nobody values your grind. Nobody understands why you're sacrificing. But this phase is the most important part of your journey because it teaches you to rely on yourself. It forces you to build discipline, self-trust, and inner strength. And here's the good news. When you finally break through, when the results start to show, the very same people who doubted you will suddenly want to be associated with you. They'll tell people they knew you all along. They'll cheer the loudest once you're winning. And that's just human nature. So instead of wasting energy being bitter about it, use it as fuel. Let their doubt drive you. Let the lack of support sharpen your focus. Because the moment you understand that no one is truly your friend until you win, you stop waiting for people to save you and you start building the kind of mindset that makes you unstoppable. You realize that the people who truly matter, the rare few who support you in the dark, are the ones worth keeping close. And everyone else? They'll show up when the lights are on. That's fine. That's life. But until that day comes, the only thing you need to do is this. Keep going, keep proving it, keep stacking evidence, because one day you're going to look around and see that the very same world that was silent when you were losing is now cheering because you won. And you'll know, deep down, that the real victory wasn't just the success, it was becoming strong enough to win without their applause. When you think about relationships in your life, one of the most important lessons you'll ever learn is the difference between conditional and unconditional support. And this lesson often hits you hardest when you're chasing something difficult, something big, something that not everyone believes you can achieve. The reality is that most people in your life are conditional friends. That means their presence, their encouragement, their belief in you is tied to your circumstances. When things are going well, they're right there beside you. They cheer, they celebrate, they want to be associated with your success. But when you fail, when you're struggling, when life feels messy and uncertain, those same people vanish. Suddenly, they're too busy, too distant, or too uninterested. And that silence teaches you more about human nature than any motivational book ever could. It can feel harsh, almost brutal to realize how many people in your circle only believe in you when there's proof of success. But it's also liberating once you see it clearly. Because when you stop expecting unconditional loyalty from everyone, you stop being disappointed when it's not there. You start to understand that real, unconditional relationships are rare and precious. These are the people who don't care if you failed, who don't care if the world thinks you're crazy, who still stand by you when nothing about your situation looks attractive. And when you find those people, you treasure them because they are the exception, not the rule. Most of the time, though, you're going to be surrounded by conditional support. And instead of being bitter about it, you've got to learn how to use it. Conditional friends are like fair weather teammates. They'll show up when the scoreboard says you're winning, and they'll disappear when you're behind. But here's the thing, you don't need everyone to be unconditional. You only need a few, and the rest will come around when you succeed. That means your job is not to chase people's approval, not to beg for their friendship, not to waste energy trying to convince them to stick with you through the lows. Your job is to stay focused on building the kind of results that naturally attract people. And here's where the deeper education comes in. Conditional friendships teach you self-reliance. They teach you that external validation is temporary, fragile, and easily lost. If your confidence depends on other people cheering for you, you'll crumble the moment the crowd goes silent. But if you can learn to stand strong when the stands are empty, if you can learn to push forward even when no one texts you back or asks how you're doing, you become unstoppable. Because you're no longer driven by their belief. You're driven by your own. Unconditional friends, on the other hand, are your anchor. They're the ones who remind you that you're still valuable even when you're not winning. They're the ones who keep you grounded when success finally arrives and everyone else suddenly wants a piece of you. And here's the catch. You'll never discover who these people are until you go through struggle. Success doesn't reveal unconditional friends. Failure does. Struggle does. That lonely season where nothing is working, that's when people's true colors show. And as painful as that season can be, it's also a gift because it filters your relationships. It shows you who's real and who's just there for the highlight reel. So when you find yourself frustrated because people aren't supporting you, I want you to flip your perspective. Instead of asking, why don't they believe in me? Ask yourself, who is still here even now? That small handful of people, that's your true circle. Everyone else, they're not your enemies. They're just conditional participants in your journey. They'll return when you win, and that's fine. But you can't waste your energy resenting them because resentment keeps you stuck. What matters is knowing the difference and protecting your energy from being drained by false expectations. At the end of the day, conditional versus unconditional friendships is not about labeling people as good or bad. It's about clarity. It's about you being educated enough to recognize that most people operate conditionally, and that's okay. It's about valuing the rare unconditional relationships you have, and it's about understanding that your success will bring the crowd back, but your resilience, your determination, and your self-belief are what will carry you until then. And here's the real power. Once you stop needing everyone to be your unconditional supporter, you free yourself. You stop being let down. You stop being surprised when people only show up in the wins. And instead, you anchor yourself in the truth. You don't need everyone to be your friend until you win. You just need yourself to be your own friend the entire way. Every journey to success has a season that feels like pure isolation. It's the part no one talks about enough because it's not glamorous, it's not fun, and it doesn't make for an inspiring social media post. But it's real. It's the phase where you're working harder than you ever have, yet it feels like no one notices. It's where you make sacrifices, late nights, early mornings, missed parties, skipped comfort, and you start to wonder if it's even worth it because the results aren't showing yet. This is what I call the lonely zone. And if you're not prepared for it, it can break you. But if you understand it, if you expect it, it can actually become the most powerful phase of your growth. Here's why. The isolation phase strips away the noise. It forces you to confront yourself without distractions. When nobody's calling, when nobody's clapping, when nobody's checking in on you, you're left with one critical question: how bad do you really want it? Most people discover in this stage that they don't want it enough. They wanted the applause, the recognition, the instant gratification, but they didn't want the grind without the spotlight. That's why this phase is such a filter. It separates those who are chasing validation from those who are chasing actual growth. Think about anyone who has ever achieved something extraordinary. Before the world knew their name, before the interviews, before the awards, they were in this exact phase. Alone in a gym, alone in a studio, alone with their books, their notes, their business plans, no cameras, no crowd, just sweat, silence, and sacrifice. That's the real birthplace of success. It's not when everyone else shows up, it's when no one else does, and you keep going anyway. Psychologists talk about the concept of delayed gratification. It's the ability to put in effort now for a reward that comes much later. The isolation phase is where you learn this skill in real time. You don't get the dopamine rush of immediate praise. You don't get external proof that it's working. What you get is doubt. And that doubt is like resistance training for your mind. Every time you push through it, every time you keep working, even though nothing around you validates your effort, you get stronger. You're teaching yourself discipline, patience, and resilience, the very qualities that separate winners from everyone else. The danger is that this phase feels endless when you're inside it. You look around and it feels like everyone else has support, everyone else has recognition, everyone else is moving faster. That illusion can crush your motivation if you don't understand what's really happening. The truth is, everyone who has ever succeeded went through this exact tunnel of loneliness. It's just that once they made it out, nobody focused on the tunnel. They only saw the light at the end, which means if you're in it right now, you're not failing, you're not behind, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. What you have to do is change how you see it. Instead of calling it loneliness, call it training. Instead of calling it abandonment, call it independence. This is the season where you're building the version of yourself who can handle success when it finally arrives. Because let me tell you something, if you can't handle being ignored, you won't be able to handle being celebrated either. Success brings pressure, judgment, jealousy, and expectation. The isolation phase is where you build the mental toughness to carry all of that without breaking. So if you feel alone right now, if you feel like nobody sees what you were doing, take a deep breath and remind yourself, this is the process. This is the tunnel every winner goes through. And the beauty of it is that once you embrace it, it stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling like preparation. Every early morning, every late night, every sacrifice, it's not for nothing. It's laying the foundation for the life you're building. A life that will one day make sense to the very people who can't see it now. And here's the secret. You don't have to escape the isolation phase to succeed. You have to endure it. You have to keep walking through it, one step at a time until you emerge on the other side. And when you do, not only will the world finally notice you, but you will also carry a strength inside you that can never be taken away. That's the real win. Success has a funny way of changing the way people see you. Before you've achieved anything, most people doubt you. They question your choices, they underestimate your abilities, and some even laugh at your dreams. But the moment you start winning, everything shifts. People who once ignored you suddenly want to hear your story. Those who dismissed you begin to respect you. And the same people who thought your dreams were unrealistic suddenly act like they believed in you the whole time. Why does this happen? Because winning creates credibility. It transforms your vision from an idea into something undeniable. Think about it. When you tell someone about your goals, all they have is your words. And words are easy. Anyone can talk about what they want to do. The world is filled with dreamers who never follow through. That's why people don't always take you seriously at the start. But when you take consistent action, when you produce real results, you give people something tangible. You've turned talk into proof. And proof is powerful because it forces people to see you differently. It's like watching a business idea. If someone tells you they want to create a company, most people nod politely but don't take it too seriously. But when that person builds a product, launches it, and starts making money, suddenly investors and supporters show up. What changed? Not the dream. It was the same from the beginning. What changed was credibility. Results speak a language that doubt cannot argue with. And this is why your commitment to your dream has to be stronger than people's lack of belief in it. Because credibility doesn't come at the start. It's earned through work, consistency, and time. Too many people get stuck waiting for others to validate their ideas before they act. They want friends, family, or society to tell them they're on the right track. But that's not how it works. The validation comes after the proof, not before. If you wait for approval before starting, you'll never start at all. Winning also builds a kind of momentum that attracts opportunities. When you succeed at one thing, no matter how small, people begin to associate you with competence. And competence builds trust. For example, if you commit to running a marathon and actually finish it, people don't just see you as someone who runs, they see you as disciplined, determined, and resilient. That credibility then bleeds into other areas of your life. Suddenly, people are more likely to support your next endeavor because you've shown that you follow through. Winning creates that ripple effect of trust, but here's the catch. You don't just win once. You have to keep showing up, keep stacking proof, keep demonstrating that you're not a one-time success. This is why consistency matters so much. Anyone can have a lucky break, but consistent winning, even in small steps, creates a reputation that people can't ignore. It builds your credibility like compound interest, slowly at first, but eventually it grows into something massive. And remember, winning doesn't always mean a huge breakthrough. Sometimes the credibility you build comes from small victories that stack up. Waking up early every day to work on your craft is a win. Staying disciplined when it would be easier to quit is a win. Hitting small milestones toward your big goal is a win. Each one of those victories is like a brick. Alone, they might not look impressive. But when you stack enough of them together, you build a wall of credibility so strong that people have no choice but to acknowledge it. The beauty of credibility is that it not only changes how others see you, it changes how you see yourself. When you prove to yourself that you can follow through, your confidence grows. You stop needing everyone else to clap for you because you know you're capable. That inner credibility is just as important as the external recognition. In fact, it comes first. When you believe in yourself because you've seen your own evidence, you develop the kind of quiet confidence that can weather any storm. So if you're in that stage where no one seems to believe in you, stop waiting for their approval. Focus instead on creating undeniable proof. Show up every day. Stack those small wins. Build credibility step by step until your results are so clear that people can't ignore them. Because once you start winning, once you create that evidence, you won't have to chase validation anymore. It will come to you. And when it does, you'll realize the real victory wasn't just convincing them, it was proving to yourself that you were capable all along. The truth is, no one will ever believe in your dream as much as you do. And that's exactly how it's supposed to be. Because your dream was given to you, not to them. They can't see the vision in your mind. They don't feel the fire in your heart. They don't hear the voice inside of you telling you that you're meant for something more. All they see is where you are right now. They see the struggle, the ordinary, the lack of results. And that's why, if you're waiting for other people to validate your dream, you'll be waiting forever. The belief has to start with you. And it has to be strong enough to carry you through the moments when no one else sees it. Think about it. Every invention, every movement, every breakthrough that has ever changed the world started in the mind of one person who refused to wait for permission. Imagine if Thomas Edison had waited until everyone around him believed he could create the light bulb. Imagine if Oprah had waited until people believed a poor girl from Mississippi could build a media empire. Imagine if Elon Musk had waited for the world to say, yes, electric cars will work. None of them would have started, because belief doesn't come from the outside, it's built on the inside. And it's always lonely at first. The danger is that most of us hand over the power of our dreams to other people. We wait for our parents, our friends, or our community to tell us we're good enough. We wait for applause before we've done anything. But the world doesn't work that way. People don't clap for potential. They clap for results. And if you can't push yourself through the silence, through the doubt, through the eye rolls and dismissive comments, you'll never reach the point where the results show up. This is why winners develop what I call self-generated belief. They don't need external approval to start. They decide, I believe this is possible. I believe I can do this. I believe my vision matters. And they act on that belief, even when everyone else is quiet. Belief before proof is the hardest stage, but it's also the most powerful. Because when you choose to believe in yourself before anyone else does, you build a muscle of resilience that nobody can take away from you. It's easy to believe in yourself once the world starts clapping. It's easy to have confidence when people are cheering for you. But can you believe in yourself when no one's watching? Can you keep showing up when there are no likes, no praise, no recognition? That's the real test. And it's the one that 90% of people fail. Here's the thing. Your belief is the foundation for everything else. Without it, you won't start. Without it, you won't persist. Without it, you'll crumble the first time things get hard. But with it, you become unstoppable. Because when you truly believe in what you're doing, setbacks don't end you. Failure doesn't define you. Criticism doesn't derail you. You simply keep going because you know in your bones that the dream belongs to you. And eventually that unshakable belief turns into results. And those results turn into credibility. And that credibility turns into support. But it all starts with you choosing to believe before any of that exists. So let me tell you something important. You don't need everyone else to understand right now. You don't need them to clap. You don't need them to get. Stop waiting for the approval that may never come. Instead, stand up, look in the mirror, and remind yourself, I believe in this. I believe in me. That belief is your engine. It's what's going to carry you when things feel impossible. And one day when you finally break through, the very same people who doubted you will say, I always knew you could do it. And you'll smile because you'll know the truth. You believed long before they did. And that's why you won.